I will recap a movie called You Get Me. It is a 2017 American thriller film about a psychopath crazy rich girl who is obsessed with a young poor boy. Heads up, this is spoiler content video. Let's start the story. The movie begins with a handsome man named Tyler. Tyler is a high school student who is currently in a very romantic relationship with a beautiful girl named Allison. Since dating Allison, Tyler's life has become more interesting, but Tyler has never asked Allison to meet her parents because Tyler's parents are very busy. Usually Tyler is only accompanied by his younger sister named Tiffany. Tyler works as a waitress at a cafe located on the beach. Tyler and Allison have close friends named Gil and Lydia. The four of them are very close, and they even often hang out together at the cafe where Tyler works. One night Tyler, Allison and Gil plan to go to a party. Arriving at the party, Allison accidentally meet her old friend in San Francisco named Chase, and Allison quickly introduces Chase to Tyler. When Tyler and Chase are alone, Chase reveals that Allison is an unrighteous woman who only likes to drink and sleep with a lot of men. Tyler, who heard this, has no words, could only be silent. In stating Allison has never told her about her past, as a result Tyler is angry with Allison. That night they immediately had a big fight, and in the end Allison immediately ended their relationship. Tyler was disappointed with Allison's behavior. Tyler finally decided to leave the party. Down there Tyler accidentally meet a beautiful and super rich girl named Holly. Holly then immediately take Tyler around in the luxury car she was driving. Tyler began to tell her that he had broken up with his girlfriend. Holly, who knew this, immediately come for him, and Tyler became a little calmer after driving around for a while. Holly finally bring Tyler to her luxurious house. The next morning, Tyler wakes up and begin to meet with Holly. In the living room Holly also began to tell stories about her family, where her father had died long ago and left a lot of wealth, while her stepmother often travel, and she always feel lonely every day. After telling a lot, Tyler also tell a little about his life story. Holly immediately invite Tyler to have fun in a very spacious mansion. After a long time of having fun, they didn't feel like night had arrived, and they had spent all day. Holly immediately ordered Tyler to make love with her, because Tyler was tempted by Holly's beauty. Tyler finally want to sleep together with Holly, they are making love together. After being satisfied Tyler realized that he had to go home, because his own sister is alone in his home. When he got home, his mother actually called several times and also Allison, who texted him several times. It can be seen from the message that Allison wants to invite Tyler to meet at Allison's house in the next morning. In the morning, Tyler immediately rushed to Allison's house. In there Allison apologized for her behavior last night, as well as Tyler, who immediately apologized. Allison also recounted when she lived in San Francisco, where her company there tended to deviate and are very bad. Because of the bad company of her friends in San Francisco, Allison also joined in. That's why Allison and her family moved here, hoping there would be no more such company. After forgiving, they also promised not to hide secrets from each other. However, Tyler immediately remembered that he had just have slept together with Holly, but here Tyler is scared and ends up hiding this secret from Allison. The next day at school, there is a new student who enters Tyler's class, and it turns out to be Holly. Holly says that her stepmother will stay here forever to take care of Holly. Holly's stepmother tells Holly to go to school, that's why Holly and Tyler meet in the same class. After class ended, Tyler, Allison, Gil, and Lydia start to gather together in the cafeteria, but suddenly Holly comes and introduces herself to the four of them. Holly hopes to be their best friend too. After gathering, Tyler immediately sends a message to Holly to meet on the stairs near the elevator after school. When Holly met Tyler, Tyler tried to break up with Holly and said it was just a mistake, but it seems Holly is already in love with Tyler. The next day Allison and Holly decide to go to Tyler's workplace. There Holly shows a photo of a man whose face isn't visible. Tyler, who saw this, was afraid that Holly would talk about their relationship, but here Holly didn't want to tell who the man was. Holly and Allison are getting closer, day by day. Even Holly often goes to Allison's house to chat. Allison says that she has never slept with Tyler. Wow, that's a pity, because Holly was the one who slept with Tyler first. At that time Holly was staying at Allison's house. Via texting Tyler wanted to tell her about his affair with Holly, but when he found out that Holly was staying at Allison's house, in the end Tyler decided not to tell the secret. While Allison is sleeping, Holly secretly takes some of Allison's belongings, and also a photo of Tyler with Allison. The next day Holly even came to Tyler's house. Holly teases Tyler, but Tyler seems to refuse. Some time passed. Lydia began to be suspicious of Holly, who did not have social media according to Lydia. In today's world, everyone must have a social media account, but oddly Holly doesn't have one. Holly accidentally overheard the conversation, and because she felt threatened, she finally planned to poison Lydia. On the other hand, Tyler saw Holly's stepmother talking to one of the teachers, and then Tyler introduced himself to Holly's mother. Holly's mother revealed that Holly had a mental disorder, so Holly was required to take drugs and special therapy. After that, Tyler thinks maybe Holly is a dangerous person who will destroy his relationship with Allison. While Allison and Lydia were resting in the cafeteria, Holly brought their favorite drink, but after Lydia drank the drink, suddenly Lydia had an extreme allergic reaction, so she had to be taken to the hospital. Allison goes straight to the hospital to accompany Lydia, while Tyler suspects that the drink given by Holly has been mixed with poison. Some time passed, as it was after school time, Allison told Tyler that Holly was pregnant. Tyler, who heard this, did not believe it, because he was afraid that the child was the result of their previous relationship. As a good friend, Allison decided to accompany Holly through her difficult times. While at Holly's house, Holly begins to share her frustration with the man who got her pregnant, who has no sense of responsibility at all. Holly is also envious of Allison's smooth relationship. The next day, Tyler was very surprised when Holly came to his house and played with his little sister. Tyler quickly took her out by force, where Tyler started pushing Holly and telling Holly to get away from her. That night Holly comes to her best friend Allison's house, then Holly begins to tell Allison everything, that Holly actually had a relationship with Tyler. The image seen from before is an image of Tyler. Because Holly is pregnant, Tyler deliberately pushes himself to make her hurt the same night. Tyler starts visiting Lydia. Tyler says that he is suspicious of Holly, because Holly may have put something in Lydia's drink earlier. After saying that, he immediately vented about himself having a relationship with Holly, but Tyler promised to solve this problem. Tyler immediately texts Allison to meet at the beach. The next day the two of them start to meet. It looks like Allison was very upset with Tyler, because Tyler had a one-night stand with Holly, but he kept it a secret. Tyler tries to explain everything to Allison, but she just ignores him. Well, because Allison was disappointed, she finally told Tyler not to call her again. The next day, when he entered the class, suddenly Tyler was called by the teacher. The teacher said that there was a student who accused Tyler of violence. The student was named Elizabeth Holly Viola. Holly has shown evidence of her injuries, that she was abused by Tyler. As a result, Tyler was suspended from school for a few days. When Tyler found out the real name of the crazy girl Elizabeth Holly Viola, he immediately searched for it on Google. Tyler was very surprised, because he found an article that said that Holly or Elizabeth had attacked other students. As a result, Elizabeth was put in a mental hospital for a while. That's one of the reasons why, when Lydia searched for Holly Viola identity on the internet, she didn't find it at all, because it turns out that Holly's real name is Elizabeth. Now Tyler knows that Elizabeth is very dangerous. At night, Elizabeth secretly breaks into Allison's house. Elizabeth plans to steal Allison and lock her up in Elizabeth's mansion. Elizabeth immediately sent a photo of the unconscious Allison to Tyler. Then Tyler immediately rushed to Elizabeth's house to save Allison. But before that, he messaged Gil to help him save Allison by sending Elizabeth's home address. After sending a message to Gil, Tyler immediately went to Elizabeth's house. On the other hand, Allison wakes up and sees herself tied to a chair. Elizabeth also starts telling Allison that she is not pregnant. She deliberately tricked Allison into feeling very disappointed with Tyler. Allison feels sorry that she didn't listen to Tyler, that Holly is a very dangerous person. Then Elizabeth's stepmother suddenly came and saw Allison tied up. Elizabeth's stepmother tried to save her from behind. Elizabeth immediately wrapped her in plastic, and it made her stepmother died. When Tyler arrived at Elizabeth's house, Tyler immediately took a sharp weapon just in case. Then Tyler accidentally saw Allison tied to the ceiling. Quickly, Tyler immediately saved Allison and ran away from that place. But Elizabeth doesn't seem to let them escape. Elizabeth immediately pointed a gun at both of them. Tyler apologized to Elizabeth for his behavior. Suddenly Gil came and surprised Elizabeth. So she immediately shot Tyler. Allison quickly took a sharp object that Tyler had brought and stabbed it into Elizabeth. Tyler, who was dying, in his heart said, "Love is blind, love can destroy you, anything you can do because of love. I am lucky to be with Allison and survive this tragedy." After that, it looks like a crazy Elizabeth managed to survive and seduce the officer. Then it all ended happily, where Tyler and Allison were celebrating his sister's birthday. And the movie is over. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. Please give me a thumbs up and click the subscribe button. See you in another video.